Welcome, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. Vanakkam. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us in the 2024 Singapore Seminar here in Tamil Nadu. My name is Giselle from Singapore Business Federations, and I am honored to be your Master of Ceremonies today. We are extremely privileged to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Simon Wong, High Commissioner of Singapore to the Republic of India, who graces us with his presence. Ladies and gentlemen, let's extend a warm round of applause to His Excellency, Mr. Simon Wong, High Commissioner of Singapore to the Republic of India, as we invite him to deliver the opening address. His Excellency, please. Slide 2.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, Vanakkam. I'm happy to see so many of you gathered here for the Singapore country session. But thank you very much for being here. I just want to start. The Honorable Chief Minister Thiru Stalin visited Singapore in May this year. He picked 2 countries to go on his roadshow to talk about GIM 24. Singapore is one of them, his last stop. He made 2 big impressions on Singapore. First, for a long time, Thiru Stalin did not wear a suit, but he looked amazing in his outfit. In his honor, I have put on a vestie to show my respect for him. The second big impact that Thiru Stalin made in Singapore was his passion about the progress in Tamil Nadu. And my colleagues who have been here, seated next to me, some of them are very experienced and based and have a lot of interactions with Tamil Nadu, tells me the same thing. Since 2021, they see immense progress in Tamil Nadu, and I would like to applaud the amazing progress here. Thank you so much. Honorable Chief Minister and his delegation was in Singapore to promote not only GIM 24, but also about investments in Tamil Nadu. I have to report to all our guests here that we have been a long-standing partner with Tamil Nadu since the centuries ago. But because of his team and his efforts by Guidance Council and Thiru Dr. Raja, we made a commitment to visit GIM 24 in a big way. Together with me, there are 80 business people, and we are good, and I'm going to say this 3 times. Chief Minister said, please come and visit and invest in a big way in Tamil Nadu. I want to reply to him 3 times. Yes, I heard you. Yes, I heard Tamil Nadu. Yes, I heard the voices of Tamil Nadu. That is the reason why we are committed to 31,000 crore of investment in Tamil Nadu. I think we are the largest country to pledge this amount in Tamil Nadu, and being the first partner country of Tamil Nadu, we want to assure you that our journey together will be a long-standing one. In 1 week's time, we are going to celebrate Pongo, a sacred festival shared between the state of Tamil Nadu and Singaporeans. we give thanks to Lord Indra and the sun god to assure us safe winds and great sunlight. And as we draw the Rangoli together between Singapore and Tamil Nadu, we hope great progress will come between this partnership. Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my pleasure. It's my first time in India, and the first port of call is Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Yeah. It's really my privilege to be here, and it's a pleasure to stand before you today, and to discuss a little bit more about today's topic, which is of immense importance, right? Partnership and collaboration for a greener future in Tamil Nadu and in Singapore. So I've got a long script written here, but I don't think I want to follow that. Come mainly from Tamil Nadu. We've had relationships since the 19th century, even 18th century. We've known one another for a very long time. Some of you may even have relatives who are living in Singapore right now in their third or fourth generation or even fifth generation. So I'll not delve too much into how close we are as two countries, but I'll concentrate more on our fireside chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kwang. We will now transit into our panel discussion today. Allow me to invite our distinguished panelists to join us on the stage for this engaging conversation. First, let's welcome Mr. Vipul Tuli, Chairman, South Asia and CEO, Hydrogen Business and Middle East from Sembcorp Industries. Next, please join us in welcome Mr. Gary Shankar Nangabhushanam, Chief Executive Officer, Indian Business Park from Capital Land Investment. Let's also give a warm welcome to Mr. James Randell, Cube Renewables. Lastly, please welcome Dr. Shailesh Kagwa, CEO of Environment Sense.
So partnerships and collaboration, are essentially essential for achieving a greener and more sustainable future. To just introduce themselves a little bit, as well as to talk a little bit about what they do in India. Vipul?
Thank you, Ray. Very good afternoon and very, very happy to be here. I look after the South Asian business for Sembcorp. We are a sustainable energy and urban solutions company headquartered in Singapore. We are in the middle of what we call a brown to green transition, which means we are really focusing very strongly on renewable energy and renewable energy related solutions. For us, Singapore is headquarters, but India is actually a very, very key market for us. Over the last 8 or 9 years, we've invested little more than 6 billion Singapore dollars in India, or around 40,000 crores. Of that, today we own and operate around 80 renewable energy sites with over 3.5 gigawatts or 3.5 or 3,500 megawatts, a little more than that, of renewable energy. We are also in the middle of trying to enter the green hydrogen and green ammonia industry, and it is our hope that India will be one of the first areas in the world that we invest to produce green hydrogen in. BID wind project was actually built and commissioned in Tamil Nadu. This was under the SECI program. This was a 250 megawatt wind project with 119 turbines outside Thoothukudi. And I'm very happy to say that Sembcorp was the developer and owner of that. And this was built on time, in fact, ahead of time, and is operating very well thanks to an incredible partnership with the people of Tamil Nadu. Besides that, of course, we have other renewables in this state, total around 250 megawatts plus the SECI project, total around 500 megawatts. And of course, as Tamil Nadu is looking to do investments and be at the forefront of green hydrogen, we are very hopeful of making at least one of our large investments in green hydrogen in this very state. So very, very happy to be here. So Singapore is home, India is home, and Tamil Nadu is very special to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Vipul. Perhaps, Gauri, you could...
வணக்கம் சென்னை. ஃபஸ்ட்டு என் பேரை கிளியராக சொல்லிடுறேன். கௌரி சங்கர். எங்கள் அப்பா பேர் நாகபூஷணம். I happen to be the CEO for Capital India Business Park. Capital is a Singapore headquartered company. We consider ourselves among the largest, if not the largest, real assets management company in Asia. We have assets under management close to $140 billion. We have 6 listed REITs on SGX, and we have close to 30 private funds. We are present across 40 different countries. Our India journey is 3 decades. We came to India in 1994 when Honorable Prime Minister Narasimha Rao opened up India's economy. He joined venture to the Singapore government, and we entered India in a place called Whitefield, Bangalore. Some of you might have heard about it. Our presence in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, is 2 decades old. In 2004, we formed a joint venture with TIDCO, and we set up the first privately developed multi-tenanted IT park. It was called Ascenda's IT Park, and if you had to have KFC or if you wanted to have a McDonald's, that was the only food court in Chennai which had. So I'm sure quite a few of you would have visited our food court without even knowing that it was an IT park. Our India verticals are, we started with business parks in 2004 in Chennai, in 1994 in India. Then around 2012 we got into hospitality. We have 2 hotels, operate 2 hotels here in Chennai, Somerset and Citadines. One is in OMR, and Somerset, of course, is close to the beach. Then around 2017 we launched our industrial park in Oragadam and warehouse park in a place called Periyapalayam, north of Chennai. And in 2021 we launched our data center business, and we invested in our first data center project into 2023 in Chennai. So Chennai is very key for us, and we will continue to grow. The connection between Chennai and Singapore is quite strong, so we want to build on that. So like the High Commissioner, His Excellency, had spoken 31,000 crores, we do bring at least 10% of that from our kitty as well. Thank you, and glad to be here today.
Thank you, Gauri. James?
My name is James Rundell. I head up the sales division at Cube Renewables. Cube Renewables is a small-scale biogas. Can you hear in the back? Cube Renewables is a technology provider for small-scale biogas solutions. We specialize in agri-residues, food waste, the food production industry. 2.5 years ago, we had an investment from Blue Planet Environmental Solutions, which is on behalf of whom I'm speaking today. Blue Planet are headquartered in Singapore. They are a waste management and platform for decarbonizing technologies. They have a series of different technologies. Founded in 2017, the group is growing rapidly. So obviously headquartered in Singapore, but with a significant footprint in India. Cube Renewables roles in India, we are looking very specifically at innovative solutions to air quality improvement around paddy straw burning. So we have a unique and patented project running in Haryana and Punjab where we're dealing with paddy straw, processing that into bio-CNG and creating organic fertilizer, whilst also improving air quality. And we've also got a project down here that we're rolling out across India, but based in Chennai, which is around fugitive methane capture from legacy landfill. We are very lucky as part of the Blue Planet Group to have Sigma as partners. They are, in terms of landfill remediation, one of the biggest in India. And we've rolled out our technology now and just bringing on stream a very large trial on fugitive methane capture in Tamil Nadu. So it's a privilege to be on the stage here. We want to support all the improvements of relationships between Singapore, Tamil Nadu and India generally. So thank you for having us.
Thank you, James. And last but not least, Shailesh.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Thank you. It's been a privilege to be here. I'm Shailesh. I'm CEO and founder of EnvironSense, which is technology-based company from Singapore. We provide customized water treatment solutions and water quality monitoring solutions. We are based in Singapore, but we have been working in India actively for last, I think, 4 or 5 years. And we make industries and residential societies and other premises water neutral or net zero. We just not only make them net zero, but also make water circular economy by increasing the efficiencies of treatment and downgrading the cost for the treatment, such as we basically minimizes the energy consumption use for the water treatment or especially industrial water treatment up to 30%. We minimize the carbon footprint of our water treatment plants up to 35 to 40%. So overall, our aim to make a water circular economy which is sustainable in a true sense. We have seen Singapore, past few years or many years, Singapore used to be a water challenge country, but now Singapore is a water benchmark country in terms of the water research or water treatment technologies. We aim to provide 55% of our water footprint through recycled water, which we call it as a new water. And I assume Singapore and especially Chennai or a few parts of Tamil Nadu shares the same topological climates. So those kind of technologies could also be useful for this area. We are highly interested on contributing those technologies, how we can implement those technologies. Besides this, in India, we have been working with government organizations like National Mission of Clean Ganges for cleaning the Ganga River in the northern part of India by eradicating pollutions from the textile industries. We are also working in South India with Capgemini Group and Sobha developers, especially in the Karnataka and Bangalore area. Soon we will be having few projects of Capgemini in Chennai area. So I'm looking forward to have my more trips in this area. And thank you.
Thank you, Shailesh. So, since Shailesh ended the introductions, I'm going to start with him. As most of you would have been able to tell, that actually Shailesh is from India, right? But what's he doing with a Singapore company then? How did he manage to start his journey? I think some of you would be excited to want to understand how he managed to succeed, because some of you may already have plans to want to start off in Singapore, right? EnvironSense has, established a very strong relationship, with the Singapore government, especially with the, I think Enterprise Singapore, with the Public Utilities Board, as well as the National Water Agency, right? So my question to you would be, how can the public and private sector jointly create and execute inventive solutions to address environmental challenges? Perhaps you want to answer this in a sense of your journey with the Singapore government and how you have collaborated with them to be able to come up with a successful roadmap for your company.
Thanks, Ray, for asking this question. And I would love to answer this question because I assume this could be quite relevant to the maybe future entrepreneurs who might be sitting here. How I started my journey from coming from India and I just jumped to Singapore in the year 2008. I finished my PhD at National University of Singapore. After that, I worked there as a scientist for a few years for Center for Water Research there, and then the technologies which we developed and how Singapore ecosystem helped us to start our entrepreneurship journey there. So Singapore has a robust ecosystem which is basically governed by Enterprise Singapore there. So Enterprise Singapore, A-Stars, universities, they all work together and make any startup successful to its core. So they all not only just help to grow that startup locally, but also provide a platform to work in other countries. That's how Environsense came, across a long way from Singapore to India, China, and other Southeast Asian countries. So that is the first part of questions, which talked about my journey specifically. However, how this thing is also working in India, I would also like to emphasize this. Supposedly, we have started work with National Mission of Clean Ganges. They assess our technologies. We had G2G partnership between the government of Singapore and government of India. And that's how they assess our technology. And today they are endorsing this technology for whole textiles cluster in northern India. So this is also could be one of the possibilities to showcase your technologies to the relevant organizations, which are basically policy makers for water sector or any other sector, which could be relevant to to everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Shailesh. Next to James, right? Blue Planet is among the rapidly expanding waste management firms in Asia, right? And holding a dominant position in regional waste management markets through the utilization of technologies that cover the entire waste management value chain, right? My question would be then, are there financial resources and assistance available for research initiatives centered on sustainability, potentially leading to innovations in such fields such as clean energy, waste minimalization, and conservation?
Thanks, Ray. In short answer to your question is yes, there are resources available, but we have to look hard for them. As everybody on this panel, and I'm sure out there will know, new technology is expensive. Developing out new technology can actually be the end of that new technology because there's no finance to do it in the first place. So Cube Renewables, as an example of that, in the UK, we're working on a very large government-funded hydrogen project. So green hydrogen recovery and carbon capture on the back of that. So at the moment, they're looking to begin to commercialize that technology. Without that funding, we wouldn't be able to do it. So looking at the different tranches or levels of funding that we can look at. Obviously, Blue Planet has investment partners from IFU, the NEEV Fund. So there are large-scale impact investors who will finance platforms. We, as a technology provider, look on a much more specific basis. So, for example, I've mentioned hydrogen. That's a government-funded project. We're in discussions with some entities in India. There's as part of the very highly developed Indian energy strategy, there is R&D funding around hydrogen as well, and different elements of that sustainable power network. So we have to be really careful about, we're focused in where we look for that. So it's available. I think the other thing is that we have to invest ourselves. So as part of my job, my day-to-day job, I head up the sales for the Blue Planet Biofuels division. So that is a coming together of lots of biogas experience and knowledge, and there's a huge amount of knowledge transfer in that. But if we don't invest in the technology and developing that out, we're never going to get anywhere. So within that, we have our own R&D facility, Center of Excellence. We partner with academic institutes at the very highest level, so we can make sure that our technology is developing and it's optimized. So the support is there. It's a question of going out to find it.
Thank you, James. And you spoke a lot about, collaborations with academic institutes as well as the private sector and public sector, right? So I think my next question will be to Gauri. CapitaLand is recognized, as one of the premier real estate management companies in the world. You operate across 40 countries, in more than 220 cities. So how can businesses then engage in partnerships with between the private enterprises, and the public to create and execute sustainable infrastructure projects?
Thanks for the question, Ray. If I could indulge the audience, I mean, you have government and the public on one side, and you have the private on one side. And the first question is why do the two need to partner with each other at all? Why can't it be done by the government itself, the public itself? Why do you need a private partner in there? Typically speaking, investments are made with return on investment as the core motive. Governments are not meant to target return on investments per se. They are supposed to target more egalitarian goals like equity and diversity and things like those. And the job of the government is to allocate capital in a fair manner, where they see, which gives the most important, which meets the most important requirements of their particular constituency is what the government should be focused on. So they are not the people who are, the best when it comes to looking at, what are the solutions, which are the most optimal solutions. That is something which the private industry is very, very, adept at. Now, the private industry looks at any investment from a timing perspective, from a return perspective, from a risk perspective. That is their their core. The government's core is societal society, justice, and equality and things like that. So when a PPP model works out, when you bring the high morals of the government and the capital allocation of the government and you bring it to the expertise of the private partner, that's when you have a very, very successful venture. In our own example, we partnered with the TIDCO 2 decades ago, and that was the first of its kind. TIDCO had done its own IT park before that, the tidal park. They did not partner with with a private institution. But for the first time, they ventured out and partnered with an institution like us way back in 2004. Then they realized the difference between what is an IT park, how is it different, and how we are able to get the best clients into those IT parks, how we are able to get the best rents for those IT parks, the infrastructure that gets provided. So that formed a template, and that sort of became a template for the others to follow us. So that's how the PPP model works, and that has to be implemented in the infrastructure space from a sustainability perspective as well. Because in sustainability, I mean, it's something which has caught on recently with a lot of corporates, and I hope that it has caught on or is getting appreciated by the public as well, because there is a cost. I mean, sustainability, because it is trumpeted by the private industry itself, will make you realize that private industry is usually driven by returns. So why are they talking about sustainability? And actually in today's terms, sustainability is something which, if you look at the face of it, there's a significant cost involved. There is a green cost which actually is very difficult to subsidize or profit from today. But private industries realize that if you're not sustainable in your long run, your cost of operations are going to significantly increase. And even in the public space, today India is at the center of, India's development has been fantastic. Our GDP is among the best in the world, and a lot of people, because of what governments like Tamil Nadu and the rest of India do, and some of it because of geopolitics, which we had nothing to do with. There's a lot of traction for India. There's a lot of interest for India, but that comes when people are interested. People like James come here looking for opportunities in India. They need to see the infrastructure as well. And the infrastructure can't be haphazard, because once you have a infrastructure which is not sustainable, you can only do so much. And it is going to come back and hurt you, in the future. So, sustainable investment, sustainable infrastructure is extremely key for development of any society. And the best way, like I articulated, is to take it through the private, public partnership model, because that makes it. That gets it the due attention in terms of capital allocation, and also it gets the razor-sharp focus of a private enterprise in terms of returns as well. So, Ray, I would give it back to you from there.
Thank you, Gauri. So I'm aware of the time constraints that we have, but we have one more question, right? Do feel free to engage our panelists after this session, and speak to them more about perhaps you have some burning questions you would like to ask, right? And my last question is actually to Virpul, right? As a prominent player in the renewable energy space, and as well as a well-established provider of industrial and urban solutions in Asia, how can businesses in the same industry come together to establish alliances or consortiums for the development and exchange of sustainable practices, technologies, and standards?
Thanks, Ray. The sustainable journey or transformation is going to involve the single largest investment program that mankind has ever seen. Just to quote some McKinsey numbers, about 7.5% of global GDP needs to be invested every year for the sustainability transformation that the world is trying to get done. Now, this is not just in energy. This includes agriculture, it includes industry, etc., but energy is the biggest part of it. So the sheer size of what we are trying to do as humanity means no matter how you slice this down geographically or you slice it down industry-wise or opportunity-wise, no single organization can do this by themselves. If you look at the complexity of what we are trying to do, if you look at the technological innovation that this transformation will involve, this is very, very fertile ground for partnerships. Now, coming to the topic of India-Singapore and where could India-Singapore work together, I'd like to talk about three specific areas which I think are absolutely a good demonstrations of this kind of a partnership and the scale and complexity. Number one is just regular renewable energy investments and renewable energy investment creations. We already know that India and Tamil Nadu in particular are at the forefront of this. But what most of us would not realize is that Singapore is already one of the largest investors in renewables in India, not just in Sembcorp, but in a number of other organizations as well. And so if you look at the asset creation that's going on, whether it's the equipment production, whether it's the EPC, whether it's the asset operations, or it's indeed the ownership, operations and maintenance over 20, 30, 40-year life, Singapore and India are really working together very, very closely. At the moment, as we speak, if I just look at bids out there for assets to be created, there are almost something like 15 to 20,000 megawatts of bids out there. And so the size of what's being invested in good old renewables, now we can say good old renewables, although this is a very young industry. So that's just one area where across the value chain, there are partnerships. The second area which is emerging is hydrogen, whether it comes through green hydrogen, green ammonia, or any other carriers. But if you actually look at the scale and the scope of innovation going on, this is where India actually has the opportunity to be one of the lowest cost producers in the world. And one of the first few customers that's on the horizon is actually Singapore. And Singapore's really taken the lead because it doesn't have energy and it doesn't have the space for renewables. And so it would really like to clean up its energy system. And so that partnership at the highest level is actually something that is that has a lot of high potential. And the third area I'd like to talk about is something that the Indian Prime Minister has talked about many times and which the International Solar Alliance is working on, which is the One Sun, One World, One Grid initiative, which is an initiative to actually link up the electricity grids all the way from the Middle East to South Asia, including India, Bangladesh, Burma, etc., and then going all the way into Southeast Asia with Singapore along the way. Seems like a futuristic project, but if you think about the potential of this, the underlying logic is very, very sound. The scale of investment required and the potential to actually get countries to depend on each other, where when the sun is rising in the east, it can start to supply renewables to countries which are westwards of it, and so on as we go through the day, which can actually significantly reduce the cost of energy in this entire region. So just these three examples I'd like to talk about, and whether you're a technology provider, whether you're an equipment or a component manufacturer, whether you're a financer, or whether like us you're a developer, there is a lot of potential for partnerships, and unless we work together, something of this scale and this complexity cannot be done.
Thank you. Thank you.